Hello, world. I have not been keeping up with my disgraced civil litigator, Melanie Little's disgusting, untruthful, outright lying commentary that she has been doing on the Karen Read trial for a variety of reasons that are of my own. But I saw this pop up, and I have not watched it yet, but get your popcorn, because this should be good. What kind of excuses and abomination is she going to come up with? Look at her face. She's horrified. Whoops, what's happening here? Sorry. She's horrified already. Obviously not an intelligent person. She is intelligent, though. I think she's intelligent. She just plays dumb. And her faces make me want to slap her in the face, because nobody wants to watch that. Nobody with an actual acumen for law and crime and justice wants to watch her ridiculous faces as court proceedings are going on. That's just her ego. So again, I have no idea, haven't watched this yet, watching it with you for the first time here. Let's see what happens.
On break, was it? No, it wasn't. We've got the decisions on, everything is like tilted here. We've got the decisions on the some of the motions that were heard yesterday. But what is intriguing me a bit more, thank you, Andrea, for sending this to me, is a story that just broke on Boston 25. So let's bring that up first. No spoilers, please. I'm a little bit surprised by this. If you guys are on the cesspool of Twitter, or you watched Yellow Cottage Cheese, you may have heard that he was reporting yesterday that the federal investigation...
Again, her constant deprecation of people who have brains, who have a commitment to the truth, who are victims. Sorry about that. It's disgusting. It's vile. I'm so curious what her audience is going to be after Karen Read goes to prison, because she has completely, if she ever, I don't know this woman, didn't know her before Karen Read, so if she did have any credibility, I can't imagine that anybody could ever trust her after the shit show that she has done in this case. And the people that she defends and the people that she puts down, it's literally backward. And she purports herself to be a victims' rights advocate because she was a civil litigator for some nuns in a Catholic church who were, as you can imagine, how to finish that sentence. And because of that, and that alone, she's constantly on this, I'm a civil litigator and I'm a victims' rights advocate. But she doesn't actually advocate for any victims. She advocates for the murderers. So make that make sense.
The Karen Read case is over based on these, quote, sources. I know, I was about to go out. I did, Mystery and Eddie. So let's just take a look at this, okay? Because this strains my credulity. I don't know who these sources are, but here's what, as of a half an hour ago, this is what Ted Daniel is reporting on Boston 25. It says 25 investigates, federal investigation of Karen Read case is over. Sources say. Sources say. Who are the sources? Kevin, I don't even know his last name. Kevin from the...
Well, gee, Melanie, clearly you don't understand how people that are reputable operate. But if you have sources, don't you say that same thing? And it's okay for you to say it. But this person who has actually been simping for Karen, your BFF, who's a murderer, Ted Daniels, he's just got done doing a puff piece with her and her boyfriend, Alan Jackson. And now he's the one reporting this, and you're outraged. It strains your credulity. Do you have a brain? Because you continue to literally repeat. It's on repeat. Everything, every little one-liner that you come up with that you think is cute, you repeat over and over and over and over again as if to sound intelligent. I'm not sure, because you don't. And this is how people that have sources work. Nobody's going to speak. Didn't you just get done bitching about Gretchen Voss and how Massachusetts doesn't have any reporter privilege and all this nonsense? But now, it strains your credulity as to why people would want to be anonymous in reporting this information. And again, this is a reporter who's been simping for your BFF, Karen. And so I'm just curious where this is going to go. You are just literally vile.
Cottage cheese? Okay, let's see if they name their sources. So this was just posted at 2 p.m. today, February 24th, by Ted.
No, they're not going to name their sources. Anonymous sources, you dumb bitch. That is how it works. You'll find out. You may not find out who the sources are ever, but guess what? That's none of your damn business. You're going to hear about this in court tomorrow. We, with brains, have been talking about this forever. But you disregard anybody with a brain and spit out your nonsense that is fed to you by Nick Rocco, Karen Reed, Turtle Boy, The Glare, Brian at LTL, Mike at The Young Jerks, Nurse Kim. Love how you adopted her version of Jen too. Like, you guys are high school kids, literally mean girls. It's disgusting. You're grown women with kids, and this is how you operate. This is how you move in the world. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I hope your children watch this. I hope your children are smart enough to understand that their mothers have no integrity. Because y'all are awful role models. And I feel bad for them. And shut your fucking mouth about anybody in the O'Keefe family. And shut your fucking mouth about any of the victims in this case. Your little, I'm going to just say this, but that's all I'm going to say about it. Oh, I'm going to just drop this little thing just to rile everybody up, but that's all I'm going to say about it. That doesn't protect you from lawsuits. And you should know that. Because you're straight lying. And you are antagonizing your audience to go after victims because you're an immature, selfish asshole who has been hired by this dirty defense team who has committed criminal acts over and over and over again, as you will see unfold in court. Mark my words. It's disgraceful.
Daniel. And it says 2 sources briefed on conversations that occurred between the U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston and state and local law enforcement. Tell 25 investigates that the federal probe of the Karen Reed murder case has officially ended. Who are the sources? Please tell me they're not getting their information from Twitter. Please tell me, Ted Daniel, that you vetted this source and that you have better sources than this. Is this like intentional bad press coming out before tomorrow's annihilation of Hank Brennan? I hope that's what it is. But it goes on to say the case centers on the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Both sources who spoke on the condition of anonymity said federal prosecutors.
You know damn well what you have been doing the entire time. You know damn well that Karen Reed is guilty. You know damn well that this federal investigation has always been a farce. So your acting job, which is absolutely disgusting, isn't fooling anybody with a brain. This is not outrage that Ted Daniels didn't vet his sources. You know better than anybody that Ted Daniels has been simping for Karen Reed. But as soon as he says something you don't like, just like anybody else, you attack. This is what you do when you don't have the truth.
Notified Massachusetts State Police, the Norfolk District Attorney's Office, and the Canton Police Department last week that no charges would be filed. Well, how did Kevin Linehan know that yesterday? Does he have a direct line to these alleged sources? Is it really true? I don't know, but this is wild. One source said they expect Norfolk County Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan to announce the development when Reed returns to court Tuesday, meaning tomorrow, for the continuation of a pretrial hearing that Judge Beverly Cannoni abruptly ended last week. I mean, do they notify people when the investigation is over? And they're saying that they notified... How do I get these stupid pop-ups out of here? They notified the District Attorney's Office and the MSP and the Canton PD that no charges would be filed. They expect Hank Brennan to announce it tomorrow. So guess what they did? They just stole his thunder. They just stole his thunder. Ted Daniels stole Hank Brennan's thunder. Oh, yes, he did, if it's true. As 25 investigates reported in December.
See, again, how immature is that? He didn't steal Hank Brennan's thunder. Hank Brennan is not in this for notoriety, for persecution of an innocent person, as you like to say. That's your job. You are persecuting innocent victims every day. He doesn't give a shit who breaks this story. The truth is the truth, and it'll still be the truth tomorrow, and it'll still be the truth the next day, and it'll still be the truth, guess what, the day after that. We're going to get more details tomorrow as you read. This is like 2 paragraphs and gives you no detail. But guess what? It's going to be epic tomorrow. So put on your big girl panties, Melanie, because it's going down.
2023, the federal probe was run by the U.S. Attorney's Public Corruption Unit, and agents from the Boston FBI office assisted with it. It was focused on widely publicized allegations that Reed was framed for O'Keefe's death by law enforcement and those she and O'Keefe had been drinking with in the hours before O'Keefe was found unresponsive outside 34 Fairview Road in Canton on the morning of January 29th, 2022. Multiple people were questioned before a federal grand jury, including the state police detectives who arrested Reed, along with witnesses for the prosecution. Can I get these pop-offs out of here? What the duck, man? Hold on. It's like their website. Okay, they're not going to let me X that out, so it is what it is for now. The federal government provided 3,074 pages of documents from their investigation of Reed's case before her trial last April in Dedham's Norfolk Superior Court. The documents included Trooper Michael Proctor's offensive text messages about Reed, grand jury testimony from prosecution witness Brian Higgins about the destruction of his cell phone, and findings from ARCA, an engineering consulting firm that concluded that O'Keefe's injuries did not appear to come from a vehicle strike. Reed is charged with second-degree murder and other charges. The Norfolk DA's office alleges she struck O'Keefe with her SUV while driving in reverse. The conclusion of the federal probe comes 1 month after new U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts, Leah Foley, was appointed to replace Josh Levy, who resigned on January 17th, 2025.
Yeah. The dirty, corrupt U.S. Attorney that got in bed with the dirty, corrupt Karen Reed attorney team bullshit, who opened up an investigation based on what, Josh Levy? Based on what? What was your probable cause? Why did you take a sit-down meeting with a murder defendant and her attorney and open an investigation based on what? A murder defendant saying that she didn't do it? Do all murder defendants get the luxury to walk into a U.S. Attorney's office and sit down and request this? This is a problem, Josh Levy. And it's not going away. And ARCA perjured themselves. They stopped investigating as soon as they realized they were being paid for the narrative. If they investigated as they would investigate, they would immediately find that Karen Reed is guilty of killing Officer John O'Keefe with her vehicle. So they stopped, they winked, they wrote a report that has absolutely no factual basis. And I cannot believe that there are some very intelligent people who literally listen to ARCA and believe them just because they're ARCA and they've been lied to and told that they are neutral. So they don't actually use their critical thinking. They don't actually listen and hear the words that are coming out of their mouth. And they don't actually use their own brain and common sense to say, wait, how could they possibly disprove with absolute certainty anything, really? Scientists, this is not what scientists do. This is not what medical doctors do. This is not how they ever testify. Ever. There are no absolutes in the fields of medical and science and physics, like FKR like to say. Okay, that's number one. Number two, dissect what they looked at. They didn't even use TechStream. Take 5 seconds out of your day and go to their website and look at what they specialize in. TechStream data. They didn't want, nor would they accept the TechStream data. They literally got every single piece of information that they used to draw these absolute conclusions from David Yannetti. It said in open court in a pretrial hearing. I will post it after this.
25 investigators reached out to the Norfolk DA's office, state police, Canton Police Chief Helena Rafferty. None immediately responded. Okay, so they have no information from the DA's office, the police, the Canton Police Chief. None of them responded, but you're going to go with alleged sources who told you this information and then publish this worldwide? Okay, I guess. Mainstream media, my friends, mainstream media. 25 investigators reached out to all of them and none of them would respond, but we're going to go out and publish this anyway. Reed's defense and the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Yes, because that's how news works when they have credible, anonymous sources. They don't need the DA's office to say anything besides the fact that it's an ongoing trial. Do you not get that? Do you not understand as an attorney, Melanie Little, that the DA's office isn't allowed by law to comment? You dumb bitch. It's not hard. I'm not an attorney. But I could school you every which way from Sunday. And twice on Sunday. And you block me and don't engage with anybody and shut down all of your people being able to comment on your streams unless they've been members for 2 days. Melanie, you are such a coward. You are unable to deal with the truth. You think that you should have complete and total amnesty to say whatever the hell you want about whoever the hell you want and not listen to any contrarian opinions. But yet, you have such a problem with people, and by the way, lying. This is not misinformation. These are not mistakes that Melanie Little is making. These are well thought out, planned, gone over with, I would assume many of the grifters and the attorneys. This has been a big collaboration and collusion among many, many people to spread these lies. But yet when people have credible sources, you're outraged that they would ever go against what you've been pushing, right? Then they're stupid. They're not checking their sources. They have the audacity to tell the truth. Your ship's going down. And I hope to God they sue your ass for all the nasty shit that you have said. Not only just nasty opinions, but actual lies, outright lies, every day. Melanie Little, I would assume, has money, folks. I mean, I can't imagine how much money she's made off of this little YouTube channel that she's built off the death of a police officer, Officer John O'Keefe, who she does not give a shit about getting justice for, nor his family. She degrades them and berates them. But, I'm going to say one little jab here, and then I'm going to say, don't talk about it, though. Don't talk about it in my chat, because I don't want to be held liable for it. Guess what, bitch? You are liable for it. You are a disgrace. You are disgusting. You are a mean girl. You are a bitch. And you lie. And you have zero credibility.
Find to comment. Boston 25 will stream Tuesday's court hearing. This is a developing story. Check back for updates as more information becomes available and or a retraction. Wow. Wow, so if you're just tuning in.
There will be no retraction. There will be more details. Because it's over, bitch. It is over. This is just the beginning. Hank Brennan has found his first string to pull. That's all. This is the first string that he is pulling. And this yarn, this web of lies, is going to unravel before everybody's eyes, and all y'all are going to be exposed for the fraudulent pieces of shit that you are.
Boston 25 is reporting, according to their, quote, sources, end quote, the federal investigation of Karen Read case is over. Say their, quote, sources. Sources are trust me, bro. Two sources who only spoke to them on condition of anonymity. And this is Ted Daniel reporting. There's no video yet because...
Listen to her. Trust me, bro. No. This is like, I freaking love Hank Brennan. What he said in court, like, I haven't read a report where Officer Garino said nothing to see here. I haven't seen that report. Like, seriously, nobody outside of mean girls and absolute idiots talk about, trust me, bro. These are professionals who take their jobs seriously, who actually have credibility and want to keep their credibility, Melanie. They don't pander to a bunch of freaking idiots on YouTube who just want to hear the conspiracy bullshit. Again, you are an adult. You have children. And this is how you spend your time? And just a quick question, too. You constantly say that you've gotten off the cesspool of Twitter, yet every other frickin' minute you're turning around talking about something on Twitter. So I know you say, like, your little sidekick Olivia sends all this stuff to you, but you're full of shit. So I hope that people on Twitter, because they've been able to suss out some of the handles that Karen Read uses, one of them I think being Henry Blue, maybe they can figure out which one you are. Because I'm sure that you're still on there. Because you can't ever not know what people are saying about you. Because you're emotionally stunted in the 7th grade.
It just broke like 20 minutes ago. Must be a slow news day. No, they're getting this out there intentionally before tomorrow's hearing, and they are saying that Hank Brennan is expected to announce it tomorrow at the hearing, and so they stole Hank Brennan's thunder. If this is true, I mean,
again, no. This was 2 short paragraphs of this is happening, folks. They didn't steal anybody's thunder. Hank Brennan doesn't want praises or accolades. He wants justice. He's tired of the bullshit. He's sick of the shenanigans. And he is going to expose the fuckery that is FKR.
The federal government,
and he's going to do it with grace, class, integrity, and absolute beauty. Just his command of the courtroom is a thing of beauty. I literally I would pay to watch what's going to happen over the next coming months, beginning tomorrow. Like, it is going to be beautiful, epic, poetic.
I tell people when thank you, Scott. Scott, you changed your name back. Live from a yellow attic. Wow, just wow. Wow, just wow. I don't know if they're getting their sources from Twitter or what. A lot of people don't believe it. I am just telling you that She Rage Knits says, I trust Ted Daniels did his due diligence, but he can only know what he's told. In Facts Matters coming in with a 20 to say this is not how the feds operate. His or her uncle was a SIC. So.
Yeah, the feds don't operate like Melanie Little and co. have been claiming that they do. The federal investigation was brought in for the actual victim, Sandra Birchmore. And just like Hank Brennan said last week as well, Sandra Birchmore is a victim. And now these vile creatures want to latch on to her court proceedings and case and documentation for Karen Read. It's totally unrelated. Yes, some of the same officers were involved. That's it. There is no corruption. In fact, I would venture to say that the people that they actually investigated, including Michael Proctor, are the cleanest of the clean. The worst they could find are some text messages where Proctor called Karen a cunt and said some other, things that could be considered vile, but really, she killed her boyfriend. Proctor saw it, knows it. Do people that kill their boyfriends, is that really offensive to call them a cunt? Because I think that's pretty generous, actually. And people that do what Melanie Little does, yeah, that's cuntery too. So, put on your big girl panties, Melanie Little, you cunt, because it's coming down.
I don't know. Thanks for your super chat. I guess we'll see. So thank you, Andrea, for sending that to me. And we're on top of it. We're on top of the breaking news. You heard it here first, maybe, unless it's been out there. I was happy. I thought Ted Daniels' interview of Karen Read and Alan Jackson was great. Now I have concerns about his reporting if this actually turns out not to be true.
Oh, yeah, imagine that. You like him until he doesn't go along with your narrative. Just like I said. Isn't that interesting? I've got your number. And I'm just a layperson. God, I hope you get fucking caught up in this. I really want to see your ass go to fucking jail. Or pay out of your ass. I'd love to see both. But that's just me.
Yeah, I said I would go live. I know you just finished the other one. I said I would go live as soon as I had a copy of the judge's order. And we have a copy of the judge's order reporting on some of the, making some of her decisions from last week's hearing. So we've got that. But, what the doc, this is docket number 518. Hold on a minute, because I need to pull up the motions that they're going to refer to so that let me just get my ducks in a row. Let me get my ducks in a row here, peeps. Yeah, we'll find out when there's an indictment. I don't know. Won't we find out when there's an indictment?
There is no indictment for any of the witnesses. There is no indictment for any of the police officers. There is no indictment for anybody except Karen Read. The sooner y'all get that through your thick fucking skulls, the better off you're going to be. Because many of you have quoted yourself, like you've said, I will die on this hill. Well, I feel really bad for you, because I really hope that you change your mind. Because if that's literally your stance, then that's not good for you. It's just not a good idea, because you will die on that hill, and that nobody wants to see any other innocent lives lost. I don't care how much time and money you've invested into this. It's a sham. You should probably be outraged, if you want to be outraged, at people like Melanie Little, at people like Karen Read, at Alan Jackson and Karen Read specifically, and David Yannetti, and gosh, I don't know, the list is endless. Mike at the Young Jerks, Brian at LTL, the Glarer. I mean, it's just, if you want to be outraged at the people that have been using you, Rocco's, for your money and your time. Because they've been using you, and they have been lying to you every day. And no, Karen Reed is not $5 million in debt. That's another lie. She's got all these attorneys and all these pro bono attorneys coming on, and it's like she's got her hair did and her nails did and her tan in Massachusetts. I don't know. I don't think she's sunbathing in February in Massachusetts. Let me know if I'm wrong, but she I mean, I don't think she's hurting for money, so you may want to investigate their feds where all this money is coming from. I know there's a lot of people who've been diligently keeping notes for you, making sure that you have all of the evidence of all of this fraud. And so many months ago, I started screaming about RICO charges and how this is exactly what these charges are made for. This is a criminal enterprise, people. They have a criminal enterprise going in Karen Reed. Okay? And I still 100% today believe and know that in my heart. I don't know how likely it is that they're ever going to pursue that. But if there were anything ever to pursue, this is a mob. It's a mob organization. It's criminal. It's organized criminal activity with all of it, including fraud. And there's plenty of evidence. I mean, they've made it really easy. They literally advertise it. They're raffling off seats now to go to see Karen's this and that and the other thing. I mean, it's so disgusting. They're selling raffle tickets to go sit in a courtroom to watch certain court appearances of Karen. It's disgusting. And, they hide it because they say, well, it's a giveaway. Well, no, it's not. I mean, you're raffling off tickets and you're spinning a wheel. And you can say it's a giveaway, but that doesn't make it a giveaway. So, that's just facts.
Genetic stick? I don't know. Just saying. Hang on. And if it is true, it's true. But I would say that if he's reporting this without sources, I think that's just odd that he would print.
He is not reporting it without sources. He is reporting it with anonymous sources. And I don't think that the person simping for Karen Reed would literally come out with something like this if he didn't trust said sources and throw away his credibility like you've thrown away your own.
Something like this, or Boston 25 would publish something like this without any official verification. People are saying it's to taint the jury. Everyone's reporting it. Is anyone surprised? I mean,
taint the jury? See, folks, if you don't know what DARVO is, it is basically what gaslighting is, but the acronym for DARVO is DAR, Defend, Attack, Reverse, Victim, and Offender. DARVO. I was wondering if there was another R, but DARVO. Okay, and what it stands for is defend. So you're defending the murderer in this case, for example. Reverse, or defend, attack. So then they attack people that are going against their narrative. So in this example, Melanie Little is attacking Ted Daniel. Reverse, victim, and offender. Those all go together, meaning they're reversing the actual victim with the actual offender to try to garner sympathy for the offender and create, animosity for the actual victim, which is what Turtle Boy is doing with his actual victims. Melanie Little, you fucking bitch. Calling people fake victims? Really? What would you say about that in a, I don't know, let's say in a situation where you have represented people who suffered similar things? You would be outraged. But it's okay for you to do that? You sick fuck. Seriously sick fuck. And that is what Karen Read has done the entire time. It's what Turtle Boy does every day. Reversing the victim and the offender. Making you think that the actual victim is in some way to blame. If you listen to Karen's 875,000 interviews she's done, she constantly blames John. Constantly. She blames John to this day for his death, for the fact that she's having to be on trial for his death. It's one of the most vile things I've ever seen in my life, and I've been around. I've been through some shit myself. So, yeah, it's bad. It's pretty fucking bad, folks.
BISPEP says the feds usually go on a live conference to the media when their decision is on this public.
No, they don't. Which is why so many of us, and Yellow Cottage Tales has been at the forefront, and Kate Peter, and stop it with your sick nicknames. Once again, you just prove your emotional intelligence when you're constantly doing that. They have been on this. And they are the ones that have brought a lot of this to light. I forgot where I was at there.
Like a case. I mean, I don't know. So there's that. They're not making an arrest right now. I don't know.
Trying to think. I lost my train of thought with what I was saying there. She said something and I was responding to it. What the heck was it? Dang it, and I can't. Here, let's see.
Won't we find out when there's an indictment, Gen X chick? I don't know. Just saying. Hang on.
We have been saying this. This is what Kevin's been saying. You have to. You have to in this case. It is the right thing to do to come out publicly and say, this is not happening. It's over. We have evidence to clear all of these victims who are actually state's witnesses in this case, that Turtle Boy and Karen Read and her sick team like Melanie Little and Brian and Mike and Brandy Churchwell and Broken Baker and Valhalla and God, the list is just fucking endless. Go on and on and on. That you've turned them into evil people in your own minds. And they have exculpatory evidence for them. They are cleared. There's nothing going on. And the feds don't come out and make announcements of, oh, we're investigating this, and oh, we're done investigating that. They don't do that. Not unless the only time you hear the feds is if there's an indictment. If they're doing an investigation and turn up nothing, they don't come out and say, presser before their investigation starts and after their investigation concludes, you dumb fucks. And you want to know why? Because you know how many lives would be destroyed that way? If they said, oh, well, we're going to look into Tom, Dick, and Harry down the street here, and we think that they, may have been embezzling money and da-da-da-da, whatever, and then they go through their investigation. Meanwhile, for however many months or years that investigation goes on, they're being crucified in the public and could potentially even harm themselves because of the amount of abuse that they would receive. And then they come out and say, nope, we didn't find anything. And then what? And then what? As if It would just be, well, they didn't find anything. Doesn't mean there's not anything there. Just means they didn't find it yet, right? Y'all, we could have a video of Karen Read doing what she did to John O'Keefe, and y'all would make up excuses just like you have for the other actual, like, evidence that is on video. It's fake news. It's AI, right? Alan Jackson and grabbing KR's titties and canoodling out in public. That's AI. That's fake news, right? No, it's not. It was sourced by 3 very credible news stations such as the New York Post. The metadata, as you guys like to scream and shout about the metadata, it was checked and it was verified. And most telling, people in the FKR camp said, oh, it's not what it looks like. Okay, that's what they said initially. It's not what it looks like. He was just grabbing her to, you know, prevent her from getting run over by a car like she did to John O'Keefe, right? How poetic. No, it's real, but it's fake, right? So, and then the Sally Port video, like inverted video. Yeah, that's how those systems actually record. And if you actually did your research, you would find that out. And to think that a prosecutor would put up evidence that could so easily, let's just say that it was fake, right? Why would he do that? It's so easily call outable. Call outable. It's so easy to say, oh, looks like you've remastered this video there, sir. Yeah, because a prosecutor is going to risk his life, limb, and liberty for that. That's so asinine and not intelligent. Why do intelligent people think that? Do some research. Actually listen to what has been said about that. That is the way that the video records. And if they went in and switched it in the settings, then that would be altering the metadata. If they made it, if they switched it, because of the way that it's mounted, okay, it's inverted like that. If they went in there and switched it so that it wasn't inverted in the system, that would fuck with the metadata. And then y'all would actually have a point with it being altered. Right now, as it stands, no, it hasn't been altered. It's old technology. There's no ghosts. There's no apparitions. But guess what? Michael Proctor and whichever other detectives were in there, Buchanan and I don't remember who else, guess what they're looking at? The taillight. Oh my God, how dare they? They're looking at the taillight because they're investigating a homicide in which that vehicle was the murder weapon. And guess what? The taillight is broken. So yeah, they're looking at the taillight. Michael Proctor isn't standing over there looking at the taillight, breaking the taillight with some laser eyes that he has and shattering it, and then like a little elf, you know, under the ground like a little fucking gopher, just booking it over to 34 Fairview and sprinkling little taillight pieces all over John's clothing, around the crime scene, under 3 feet of snow, people. There was not time to do that. Plus, there were news crews there. So guess what? If there were news crews there recording as the CERT team was searching, if Michael Proctor's little gopher self or any of his little gopher minions were sprinkling taillight, it would be on video. The things that you have said are so demonstratively, provably false, but more than that, they're outright stupid if you think about it beyond the end of your nose. And for those of you who can't understand that, the idea of the totality of evidence, you can pick out one little thing here and one little thing there and one little thing there and say, yeah, this looks weird and that looks weird and this looks weird. Okay, now take the time to understand protocol in that jurisdiction with that specific department and what, try to actually research if there is a reasonable explanation. If you don't try to look at if there is a reasonable explanation, then you have zero credibility in saying that it looks weird and that looks weird and this looks weird and there's too many coincidences to not make this be something fishy. Because almost every little odd thing has a reasonable explanation, but you have to be willing to actually look into it. And you have to actually be looking for the truth, not something to fit a preconceived narrative.
And if it is true, it's true. But I would say that if he's reporting this without sources, I think that's just odd that he would print something like this, or Boston 25 would publish something like this without any official verification. People are saying it's to taint the jury. Everyone's reporting it. Is anyone surprised? I mean, BISBEP says the feds usually go on a live conference to the media when their decision is on this public case. I mean, I don't know. So there's that. Maybe they're not making an arrest right now. I don't know. I have no idea. Joe needs to clear his chakras. Clear all the chakras. So there's that. You heard it here first. We'll see what else pops in the meantime. But in the meantime, let's get to the judge's order on the motions that were heard on February 18th, which was last Tuesday. And the first one is paper number 483. Paper number 483, which was the motion to compel.
This will be my first time hearing these, so I'll be curious, see what was said and see how Melanie spins it.
The turning over of the video surveillance camera footage from Ken Sallyport. Hold on, 483. That was the motion to compel the production of a forensic.
And just for the record, just because I know some of you may come across this and never have listened to me before, but just for the record, I want you to know that I came into this trial literally believing that there was likely a conspiracy and or Karen Read was innocent based on the fact that I saw Michael Morrissey's video that he put out talking about the witness intimidation, which at the time, to me, as a layman, not only a layman, but completely, completely, I don't know if ignorance is the right word. I just didn't know any of the facts. That was my first introduction. Okay, so I thought, well, that's weird, and I've never seen that before, and that sounds fishy. Get it. So if that's what drew you in, totally get it. But then you have to actually do the research if you're going to do that, okay? And what you'll find out is Michael Morrissey wrote that public appeal, which is the first of its kind, which he literally stated, which these assholes like Melanie Little like to call a hostage video because he's reading it. The reason he's reading it is because he wrote it and it was approved by the SJC. He got approval from the Supreme Court and or I can't remember exactly if it was the Supreme Court or maybe the Attorney General or the mayor or the governor, somebody up there, but I want to say it was the Supreme Court. But he had permission from the powers that be. He didn't do it before he got permission, and he wrote it so that he chose his words carefully, read it verbatim what was approved for him to read. And now, looking back on the last year and a half that I have been engrossed in this disgusting betrayal of justice, it's obvious to me why. It didn't actually take me more than about a day to figure it out. It's because of the harassment of these poor witnesses who, many of them were friends of John's, loved John. Their children were friends with John's children. Technically niece and nephew, but he was their father figure after their parents both tragically died within 6 months of each other. And then Karen mows down their last parental figure. I mean, it's the whole thing is, it shocks the conscience. Okay, but that is why Michael Morrissey did that, in an effort to quell the bullshit that Turtle Boy and the Pink Mob were doing to these innocent people. They weren't even able to grieve the loss of their loved one because they were immediately under attack by these imbeciles. And then Melanie Little and all their other talking heads jumped on it for money. They get lots of money. That is why they do this, folks. That is it. Power, politics, and money. Those are the motives for these sick, selfish individuals. They don't want justice. In fact, I don't think half of them give a shit if Karen actually goes to prison because, quite frankly, she should go to prison because she's guilty of murder. But more so, I mean, I don't think that they give a shit. Some of them may. I don't know. They don't know her. I mean, they go to her little fucking dinners that she throws and shit. Like, she's so broke, but we're going to pay thousands of dollars to invite all these YouTubers to a dinner, and we're going to pay for all of this. Like, I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. She has lived in a 5-star hotel, more than likely boning her defense attorney, who is married, out drinking constantly, which she's not supposed to be doing per her bail, just with impunity, out in public, constantly canoodling with her defense attorney Jackson, drinking, having meals with all of these sick individuals. Oh, God, it's disgusting.
Sound copy of the Sallyport video.
And trust me, there are lawsuits coming. All of these witnesses, and pray to Lord that Proctor has a super good civil attorney, because he should own everything Josh Levy owns and then some. And all of these people should definitely sue people like Melanie Little. Some of them are broke assholes anyways, but I imagine since she was a lawyer, she probably has some money, so she'd be worth going after. And she's been knowingly spreading all of this lies. It's not misspeaking, it's not mistruths, it's not by accident, it's outright lies. And she has been defaming innocent victims. I mean, oh God, it's just gross.
Footage from January 29th, pursuant to Brady. This is concerning the metadata, concerning the retired Canton PD detectives. First it was his iCloud, and then it was his computer, and then it was a hard drive, and then all the defense wants is the metadata. They want the metadata, and that is when, I think, Hank Brennan said, we can't give you something that doesn't exist. Should we just make up something that doesn't exist? Well, here's what the judge says. In her rulings on motions heard on February 18th, 2025, defendant's motion to compel video surveillance paper number 483. Motion is denied. Sorry, you can't have the metadata. Sorry. Here's the reasoning. The Commonwealth is to comply with Massachusetts Rule of Criminal Procedure 14b1, effective March 1, 2025. There are new rules coming into effect on March 1st. And guess who sat on the committee to draft these new rules? Yep. You guessed it, Judge Cannoni.
And Judge Cannoni, I certainly hope, I know that you're a judge and you're above all of this, but it's not even about that. It's about the principle of the matter. They have defamed you. They have slung mud at your name throughout this entire process, constantly implying that you are dirty and corrupt, and not even implying it so much as outright saying it. So please sue these fucking assholes just for the sole purpose of holding them accountable and using them as an example for social media in the future. This case should make so much history in that realm, and examples need to be made, because this bullshit got really, really close to subverting justice. Very close. And listening to some of these jurors that spoke out, it's scary. And knowing that there were FKR on that jury. We know that. And no, if you cared to look into the policy of Massachusetts, Melanie Little, it's perfectly acceptable for Fanning to be the overseer. That is what they do in Massachusetts. Maybe you should actually listen to some legal attorneys that practice in Massachusetts. I would suggest note my objection, whom I'm sure that you have probably also defamed. I don't know. I haven't heard it myself, but you'll discredit her in half a second. She practices in Massachusetts. She does civil litigation. She has done so many pro hoc vices. I can't remember what the numbers are in that she said, but that's what she specializes in. Alan Jackson, David Unetti broke the law. Daniel Wolf and Rechler broke the law. They should suffer the highest consequences. It sucks because of all of the ramifications for everybody waiting to get justice for John. But literally, it should not be, well, I'm going to let him get away with this so that we can put his killer in jail and let this be over. So he gets a pass. That's what scares me. That's the precedent that I'm really scared is going to get set because everybody wants this trial to be over, including myself. But if they get a slap on the wrist and they're allowed to just carry on, how is that going to prevent this bullshit from happening in the future? Again, it needs to be, the hammer needs to be dropped on these people. You cannot perjure yourself. You cannot claim to be neutral when you're not. You cannot lie to a court and a jury. You cannot create evil doers out of innocent victims and sick, mindless people on them to harass and terrorize them. It has to stop. And it has to be made an example of. God, I hope that happens. I gotta be honest, I'm scared that there's gonna be a lot of leeway for the simple fact that everybody wants this to be over. And I get it. But that should not give these attorneys who are actually criminals a pass on their criminal behavior. Quite frankly, there is so much evidence that Karen was part of all of this. I mean, her and Alan Jackson just did an interview saying that Karen was at the helm and making all of these decisions. And I wonder if Jackson did that to cover his own ass, to make sure that Karen couldn't sue him because she's psycho, and she probably would. And he probably is figuring out that she's psycho if he didn't already know that. I don't know, but literally Ted Daniels just did an interview with them where they made this abundantly clear. So quite frankly, I don't think it would be very difficult to prove the fact that Karen Reed is part of this mess, and she should also be charged with all of this, because she has been huge. She's been the puppet master. And so, I mean, to give her lawyers a pass just so that she can get put in prison where she belongs quicker, also gives her a pass on all of that. Again, like, it's just, that's not justice.
They're not taking effect until March 1, but, she's going to cite them. Today's only February 24th. Which provides in pertinent part that the prosecutor shall permit the defense to discover, inspect, and copy all photographs, video, and audio recordings in possession of the prosecution team. After hearing on February 6, 2025, that was the, second to last hearing that we did, the parties reached an agreement that the Commonwealth would have a member of the prosecution team copy any surveillance video in the detective file, store the materials on a hard drive, and then produce a copy to the defense. Though this is the old click and drag, not a big whoop, right? Brennan said when they argued this on last Tuesday, it's just a click and drag. It's not a big deal. Don't know if there's metadata. Don't know. Nick Rocco says, not saying it's true, but if it was true, I think they would release something to the press. Yeah, don't you think they would do like a press conference or put something up on the FBI website or tweet it or I don't know? Would they?
Again, that's not what the feds do, Nick Rocco. The feds don't operate like FKR. You really need to fucking use your brain. Anybody in FKR should be outraged at how stupid they think you are. They're not giving you any credit, which, quite frankly, I guess, to be fair, is pretty true because you don't actually research any of this. You just blindly believe it and start chanting whatever the new little phrase is for that specific day, handed down by your favorite YouTubers.
Well, apparently Ted Daniel got the hot take from unnamed sources, and maybe he's getting his information from people who talked about it on YouTube or Twitter. I don't know. Nick, I'm confused, but it is what it is at this point as far as the reporting goes. Okay, so after the hearing on February 6th, the parties reached an agreement that the Commonwealth would have a member of the prosecution team copy any surveillance video in the detective file, store the materials on a hard drive, and then produce a copy to the defense. The process would be video recorded. There is no affidavit or of an expert or any evidence before the court that the procedure agreed to by the skilled counsel for both parties. Oh, she's throwing shade now. Because Alan Jackson came in and said, Your Honor, they told us it was in a cloud somewhere, and now they tell us it's on a hard drive somewhere, and we need to find out if there's metadata. And now here she is. They went in a conference room, and then remember that Brennan was throwing shade because Ms. Little was not at this little meeting that they had in the back conference room, and yet she was the one writing emails about it. How dare she? And so there's no affidavit of an expert or any evidence before the court that the procedure agreed to by the skilled counsel for both parties would result in the destruction of metadata. The process agreed to by the parties satisfies Rule 14b, 1G, and complies with the court order of October 5th of 2023 before the first trial. Okay. You're not entitled to the metadata. You agreed. You met and conferred after that conference on February 6th. I don't care that you found out now that it's not what you thought it was because this is good enough. It's good enough. Look the other way. This is good enough. You don't need metadata. You don't need to know whether this...
Again, with the Darvo. She's not a good actress. I've heard she was an actress. Like, I can't imagine that she ever got hired because she's just not good. Look the other way. Yeah, Darvo. This is what Alan Jackson does, and Melanie Little globs onto it. Again, likely getting probably paid straight from the defense. Lots of rumors about that. I don't know that that's true. It sure seems like it, though, because she's one pompous little asshole who thinks that her stink don't shit, and she's done a lot for this team. Yeah, she's made a ton of money. I can't even imagine how much money she's made off of her YouTube channel that she literally began. I guess supposedly it was going to be one about mindfulness, but then it quickly became about the Karen Reed trial, and she's made all of this money off of degrading Paul O'Keefe, Mrs. O'Keefe, Mr. O'Keefe, lying about them, just constant bullshit off of, she's making all this money building her brand off of a police officer who was senselessly and tragically mowed down by his psychotic, neurotic, narcissistic girlfriend who he was trying, like hell, to break up with. But you can't break up with psychopaths. They don't like it. They won't accept it. And they have to have the last word. So she was teaching John a lesson.
Stuff was altered, destroyed, recreated. You don't need to know about any of that Canton Sallyport video. You don't need to know what was hidden from you. You don't need to know what was deleted. You don't need to know any of that stuff because the Commonwealth is entitled to a fair trial. I'm going to go berserk. My head is going to pop off. My head is going to pop off.
I really hope it does. I mean, not literally, because that would be pretty awful. But I really wish that you would just stop. You're so disrespectful and a disgrace. The fact that you use the word attorney in your name is a disgrace to the profession.
the murder weapon, the alleged murder weapon, the vehicle of Karen Reed, in their custody, possession, and control since January 29th of 2022, when they ordered for it to be towed from her parents' house in Dighton without ever knowing if there was a cracked taillight, without ever taking a picture of the ducking thing. They knew that it was the murder weapon. And they just decided not to hang on to all of that Canton Sallyport video for 24 hours.
Because what in the fuck is the point of that, Melanie? You focus on all these stupid things. This happened 3 years ago. The vehicle got towed to the Sallyport, and it was stored in there because that's where it needed to be for that district. Lots of reasons to do that, because that's where they bring the evidence in that specific county. That's totally per protocol. And they had video evidence that the taillight was broken on the officer's dash cam from when he went and did a welfare check on the niece that morning. And they had at least 10 witness statements already pertaining to all of this, and multiple people separately and apart from one another, many of whom didn't even know each other or didn't work together, like the various police and fire or EMTs, and then of course the witnesses all said that Karen told them she cracked her taillight. And yes, it was told to the officer by one of the EMTs that she heard Karen say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. She told the officer that. The whole scene was chaos. Everybody was in shock. The number one priority was to try to save John's life. Karen Reed was, in my opinion, well, I'm not even going to say that. She was screaming and yelling and saying all kinds of shit. So could it have just been like, I mean, no, they're not going to arrest her on site for that. They did their investigation, and then they arrested her. This is how it's supposed to go, people. I don't understand why this is so freaking hard to understand, and why this looks so suspicious to so many people. But if it does, please look into it. Ask questions. Ask people that have been on this for years doing the research, like Kevin with Yellow Cottage Tales, like Jennifer Coffindaffer, like Twisted Tragedy, like there's so many people on Twitter, which I recently joined to get more information. Tuesday Gazette, Mama Llama, Andy Dufries, there's so many good ones on there. Braden Kearney, Nebercracker. That's one you've got to read. Nebercracker on X. I mean, it's like, you want all the deets about what's coming out? Go check his X page.
Right after it got there, really? Okay, if you have ever been in denial about, or thought that you might want to give this judge the benefit of the doubt in some way, shape, or form, such as I did, have no...
Here you go, Bev. Here you go, Judge Bev Cannoni. I can't imagine what she's going to say now, but here you go. She's going to degrade you, probably call you corrupt, probably say that you're, in on this whole conspiracy and you're a party to it all. Here we go.
Doubt, my friends. Have no doubt about what's going on here. I mean, all of a sudden, Ted Daniels is breaking a story that the federal investigation is over. And now, oh, we don't have to watch out anymore. Nobody's looking over our shoulder, maybe. And so we're just going to release this order today. That you don't need no metadata. You don't need it. It's good enough. Look the other way. All your doubts and fears have now been allayed. Here it is, in black and white. Corruption in plain sight. Are you outraged?
There you go. There you go, Judge Beverly Cannoni. This is not the first time, nor it will be the last, that she fucking does this shit. It's disgusting. The nerve. And, Carl Steinbeck has recently been posting on, or doing commentary on this, which absolutely infuriates me, because that man is highly intelligent. And the advocacy work that he's done for Dan Markel's family is to be applauded, and it's very endearing. And for him to just jump into this, calling out all these weird things, which again, I will concede, they look weird. But for an intelligent man to not do his due diligence and research into why, if there could possibly be other explanations, there are so many people who are reporting the truth on this on different social medias. Clearly, I mean, we're a freaking drop in the bucket to all of the conspiracy nonsense FKR people, because we're not in it to make money. We're into it. We're in it to tell the truth, to get the truth out there, to try to fight for justice, to try to open people's eyes. There's plenty of us if you want to find us, but you have to want to look for the truth. And I was recently told that his girlfriend, now wife, is the one that apparently is like FKR, and he's got into this because she was into it, and she's convinced that Karen's innocent. So he's not even trying to find the truth. He's just screaming corruption because it looks weird. What the hell, Carl? It's very disappointing. And I've messaged him a few times, literally pleading with him to look into this further, because he is making an ass out of himself. He's going to be embarrassed when all of this starts coming out. It's going to be embarrassing for him. He's much more intelligent than this, and I can't believe he just jumped on this without doing any due diligence. Which he preaches about that too. Like, he says everybody should, but then really, where are you getting your information? From the cult. You went on the Young Jerks show. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me.
Massachusetts residents.
And mind you, all of these YouTubers that are in on this collusion, they all talk in the background. They're texting each other. They're in each other's chats. They're all making sure that which bases they're, assigned to for that week or that day, what their talking points are. And then they block people that are actually looking for the truth. If you're not even like me on YouTube complaining about it, let's just say your name is Shaniqua Sampson, and you go into one of their chats and you say something like, well, I don't understand. I mean, I've had dogs my whole life, and, there's no dog DNA, and there's no way that those scratches, the abrasions, as every medical expert has called them, they're not dog bites. They're not from a dog. If you say something like that, you're blocked, you're kicked out, you're shamed, you're probably never allowed back in their chat. Like, that's just how they operate, because they will not allow dissent. It is this is why we call it a cult. Because there shall be no dissent. There shall be no questions asked. You shall not make their jobs harder than they already are, trying to spin all of these insane conspiracy theories in the face of what is a very simple domestic violence, breakup, murder, which quite frankly should be the topic in America. It should be about what in the hell is happening with, quite frankly, first of all, the women that are being prosecuted for the most vile crimes these days. Is it just because, like, for some reason, I don't know, is it social media? Is there some reason that we're just hearing about it more? Because I hear more female arrests for vile, disgusting things. But yet, there's this fallacy of, well, we all want to believe, we are women, we have that motherly instinct, we are more compassionate. Yes, all of that's true, but not in psychopaths. And women can be psychopaths, or they can take some really vile actions because of God knows what, mental illness, or, I don't know what, but same thing as men. Like, they're not immune to it. But people don't want to believe that women are capable of this shit. But they are. And that should be the topic. Not only, really having that conversation, but more so, what I would love to hear is domestic violence, where men are the victims, how they're gaslit, John O'Keefe knew that he didn't want Karen in his life. I doubt that he fully understood why his instincts were telling him that. I doubt that he would have ever considered himself an abused person in a relationship. And I didn't know him. I don't know all the facts of the case, but from what I do know, this is narcissistic abuse. And it ended up in murder. And that should be the conversation happening in America. Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. That one got all the traction. But, it's the guy who's the abuser in that one. In this one, it's the woman. It's disgusting, but it happens with both sexes. And we need to educate our younger generations and a lot of our older generations that are completely ignorant to these facts. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, right, Karen Reed? It needs to be brought out so that we can hopefully prevent this kind of shit from happening in the future, meaning murders, meaning let's figure out how to stop abusive people before they murder. Because right now the laws don't do that. They don't protect people in abusive relationships. Protective orders don't protect you. That's a piece of paper. And oftentimes the police, literally their hands are tied because there's nothing they can do if they haven't harmed you physically yet. So what happens? The person gets murdered, and then the person that murdered them hopefully gets charged. But a person lost their life. Many of these instances could be prevented if our law, I don't know how, but it needs to change so that we can protect people instead of prosecuting their murderers. I mean, yes, we should prosecute their murderers, but I would like to see them not get murdered in the first place. That would be good, justice system. So figure that out for us, please.
Blink if you need help. Blink if you need help. Here's the ruling on the motion for the pro hac vice, motion for admission pro hac vice of Mark Betterow. The affidavit of counsel is insufficient. Attorney Yannetti will provide an additional affidavit. Motion under advisement. Defense motion to compel discovery. This is paper number 495. Let me pull it up so that I have a copy of it. The click and drag is good enough, my friends. The click and drag is good enough. We are in the upside down, the Matrix, Narnia, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. We're there. We're officially there. We are so deep into there that it's absolute insanity. This is paper number response or decision on paper 495, which is the defendant's motion to compel discovery. And this is defense request number 1, which is they want a chain of custody logs, reports, evidence logs, and other documentation regarding how the district attorney's office and or state police came into possession of each distinct production of video surveillance footage from the Canton PD that has been provided to the defense. And the ruling on that motion is allowed in part and denied in part. The Commonwealth has agreed, and the court orders production of the investigative materials sought in the possession, custody, or control of the prosecution team. The Commonwealth has an ongoing obligation to provide items and information favorable to the defense. There is no requirement under Rule 14 that the Commonwealth create items that do not current. It says do not current exist, probably means do not currently exist. That is citing a 1999 case from Commonwealth v. Beale. So you don't get it. No chain of custody logs, no reports or evidence logs or any other documentation about how each portion of video surveillance footage from the Canton PD that you've turned over in a trickle to us has been provided. And I said this earlier this morning. I said, okay, you're denying that? You're going to deny that? Let's call them all in. We need an evidentiary hearing, Your Honor. We need an evidentiary hearing. Here's who we need to call as our witnesses. Police Chief Helena Rafferty, Tully, Fanning, whoever had their fingers on any of this stuff. Proctor, Buchanan, Lally, Mr. Lally.
Yeah, look the other way. See what she's doing here? Look the other way. They don't want that video. They want to be able to say, well, the metadata screwed up. The metadata, they've manipulated it. That's what they want. They don't want the actual video. Hank is giving them the video, which was their request, But see, what they fail to tell FKR is that they don't really want the video. They don't want what they asked for in the motion. They want to be able to use this and say, look, they won't give it to us. They won't give us the metadata, so we don't know it's true. Just like Microdots, the other criminal out there making videos, is trying to say, oh, look at my video. What if my video is the one that's fake or is the one that's real and theirs is fake? Like, it's so fucking stupid. That's what they want. They want to be able to say that everybody's lying except the defendant, the murder defendant. She's the only one that's not lying. Everybody else under God's green earth is lying. Oh my gosh, a murder defendant is saying that she's innocent? Wow, that's unique and novel. She's still saying that she's innocent? Well, I get so tired of these people like Vinny saying, well, she's still saying she's innocent. Or Carl said, well, she's doing all these interviews. A lot of people say that. Like, no defense attorney would allow their client to do all these interviews if they weren't actually innocent. Really? If they were actually innocent, they wouldn't be doing a public PR campaign to taint the jury pool. They would literally get up on the stand and tell their story, because the truth is the truth is the truth is the truth.
You might now become a witness, because we need to know where all of these videos came from, who had possession of them.
She keeps saying this too. Everybody's going to be a witness. Lally's going to be a witness. Judge Cannoni's going to be a witness. All these police officers are going to be witnesses. Rafferty's going to be a witness. Everybody's going to become a witness. No, they're not. They're doing their jobs. Melanie Little is trying to subvert the course of justice by lying, cheating, stealing, and completely defrauding everybody.
Who had custody and control of them.
Who trusts her.
Who touched them, and how they got finally into defense's possession, but most of them weren't turned over to the defense until after the trial was over. Isn't that curious? After the trial was over. You don't want to tell us how you got them? Good. Let's call everybody on this evidentiary hearing. Defense request numbers 2, 3, and 4. Denied without prejudice. Okay, here's what 2, 3, and 4 were. Number 2 is the unredacted copy of the investigation into the death of Sandra Birchmore, the MSP report number 26. And remember, because we went over this.
Nothing to do with Karen Reed. Again, trying to use a victim. Now remember, this defense team just is also now trying to... They're talking shit about John's nephew / son, his nephew that he was raising. They're trying to say that he was lying on the stand because of the steak tip story. My first question is, why the fuck does Karen have a stupid video, like a 10-second video of her talking him into eating steak tips in the first place? Such a weird video to have in the first place. Right? Like, what the fuck is that about? And then furthermore, they're saying that he's lying because at first he said steak tips and then at the trial he said takeout. I mean, the two are not mutually exclusive. It's fucking ridiculous.
At least twice. The investigation into the death of Sandra Birchmore has involved many of the material witnesses in Karen Reed's case, including, but not limited to, Sergeant Michael Lenk, the Friendly. The Friendly, who was the first on scene and the first to go into the Albert home at 34 Fairview. The guy whose house Jennifer McCabe went over to with Carrie Roberts to allegedly drop off Carrie Roberts' kid, because the kid was a friend of Lenk's kid, and then the wife, I think, came out to the car to talk to them. She doesn't really remember, but she might have gone in there to go to the...
And why is this so difficult for people to understand? Are there that many people in the world that have never had either, been to a small town, knew somebody from a small town, understand small town politics? These people lived and grew up together, went to high school together. Their kids know each other's kids. I mean, these are like generations of people that you're not going to have enough police officers. Like, your police officers are going to know the people. If they've lived there their whole lives, they're going to know the people that have lived there their whole lives if they've lived there their whole lives. This is not unusual. You're not automatically incapable of, investigating something because you went to high school with somebody, or somebody, or your kid's friend with somebody, or whatever. Like, this is not crazy. It's just how it is in that area. Again, you need to research this specific area, this specific district, this specific court, this specific everything, instead of using broad sweeping statements about, this is weird and this is obviously conspiracy, because it's not. Might look weird. Lots of the shit looks weird, but you have to look into it.
Bathroom. They sat out there in a freezing cold car for 45 minutes because somehow somebody found out that Jennifer McCabe went to Lang's house either the day after January 29th. I don't remember the
exactly what she said again. Carrie went over there. I can't remember what Melanie just said. Carrie went over there. Jen was with her. Jen stayed in the car. The wife came out to talk to him. And then apparently Jen thought, well, I might have went in the house to pee. I don't know, but I don't remember going in. And this is all now so suspicious. It's so fucking old.
Does anybody know the exact day? Because the location data.
Go watch a movie. Go watch a fucking drama movie. Go watch a soap opera. This is real life. These are people's lives. And you all are pieces of shit if you're helping terrorize them in any way. In any way.
Was in 360, and the defense did have that, as did the prosecution, but the defense was required to turn over that impeachment evidence to prosecution. So therefore, Jennifer McCabe knew that question was coming and didn't bring it up until her cross-examination when she finally admitted that she did go to Michael Lang's house, but she didn't see him, she just saw the wife.
And by the way, there are so many people that think that it's so weird to not file an affidavit. And Melanie Little is, I'm thinking that this is where they're getting it from, because she's constantly like, yeah, he's filing this without an affidavit. That's not something that is normal. They don't actually even, they don't have to. It's not protocol to file an affidavit. And it's actually more usual and more happens that they don't file affidavits. I'm guessing, and again, I'm not an attorney and I haven't asked an attorney this, so if anybody that's an attorney hears this, please let me know if I'm right or not right or what the answer is. But I'm guessing that the defense probably maybe has to file affidavits with their motions because they're pro hoc vice, like all of them except Yannetti. So they probably are required to do a little bit extra because of that. Because typically when an attorney files a motion, they are saying, I am doing this in good faith. This is the truth as I know it. I am not lying. I am not making shit up. I am not conspiring. I am not doing anything outside of the law. These are the facts as I know them. And especially a prosecutor. They are not lying. They have no reason to lie. They didn't know Karen Read before any of this. They have no reason to hate her. I mean, we all have plenty of reason to now, based on the actions that she's taken during this freaking fraud. But the prosecutors don't. I'm sure they'd love to just say, God, get me away from this. But they want justice. They are taking so much stress on to get justice. And they are being defamed and put down and accused of nonsensical things for doing their job. Just the way that the prosecutors are doing for Dan Markel's family, Carl. If I came on your program and started saying all kinds of shit like you're saying about this prosecution and started saying that they were dirty and they're corrupt and this looks weird and that looks weird without having done any of my research, you would, tell me I'm stupid and whatever. Because according to you, if you don't have a PhD in physics, you're not able to discern that ARCA is being fraudulent. That's bullshit. And you're smart enough to know that. So why are you being duped? How are you, I don't get it. I know you're an intelligent person. And I don't think that you're part of the people like Melanie where they're doing it for money and da-da-da-da. I think you genuinely think, because your wife thinks that this is an injustice, you've determined it's an injustice. But I'm telling you, you are going to have egg on your face, bro.
Because, Carrie Roberts and her were good friends, and all of a sudden they were in the car together going over to Lank's house. Michael Lank, that's who Michael Lank is. Daniel Whitley, Trooper Mike Dunn, Trooper Zach Clark, Colleen Crawford, Detective Kevin Albert, Lieutenant John Fanning, Trooper Garino, Lieutenant Brian Tully, Deputy District Attorney Linda Land, and District Attorney Michael Marcy. Well, Her Honor does not have enough information whether she can determine whether or not that's relevant, so she goes on to say that the court also understands that the materials sought may be protected under a federal protective order. Well, I don't know if the Sandra Birchmore reports are. Maybe you guys know. Maybe if Missy's here, maybe Missy knows. Counsel are free to file supplemental memoranda and or provide the court with the redacted version that both parties have in their possession, provided doing so is not a violation of any federal protective order. So you can file more papers, spend more money, more time. We'll take up more court time with this, but I'm not going to give you them right now. You can come back and ask me again later. This is what they want. They want the unredacted police report regarding the investigation of the death of Sandra Birchmore. That is request number 2. Request number 3 is an unredacted copy of the public record response relating to all email correspondence and communications associated with the Sandra Birchmore investigation. And they went into this in great lengths in their motion that we have read. That was docket number 495. For that one, Attorney Brennan told them go to the U.S. Attorney's Office for that. However, the argument back to them is if it's in your custody, possession, and control and you have an unredacted copy, you need to turn it over. And then defense request number 4 was an unredacted copy of all reports, communications, handwritten law enforcement notes, and or other documents from the Sandra Birchmore case or investigation concerning material law enforcement witnesses in this case. And they name, again, those same people that we just named. And say that, and we've talked about this before too, that because certain people like Nicholas Garino, a.k.a. Trooper Garino, was involved in the investigation of the murder, which we now know is a murder of Sandra Birchmore, and he was not able to find 32,000 text messages on Farwell's phone between Farwell and Sandra Birchmore, and that he also investigated or examined some of the cellular forensics in the...
Do you understand that the medical examiner is the one with all of the power? The medical examiner, whether they were threatened or blackmailed or they're just not that smart, I don't know, but that person, I don't even know if it's a man or a female, is the one that said that this was a suicide. Okay, the police then that you're naming off and that you're defaming are or libels, I think is written. The only recourse they had, they wanted this further investigated. They are not allowed to investigate further after the medical examiner rules something a suicide. That is how the law works. Why don't you look into the Ellen Greenberg case and look at the hell her parents have been through for the last, I think it's been roughly 19 years, trying to get an investigation reopened into that, because it's pretty freaking obvious that it was not suicide. I mean, you look at it for 5 seconds and you can figure that out, and the deeper you dig, it's horrifying. And it is now finally getting to the Supreme Court to be heard, to see if they can reopen this into what's the word I'm looking for? Reclassifying her death as the homicide that it always should have been classified as. So, because of all of these people like Garino that you're completely degrading right now, is why the feds got involved. As far as I understand it, the DA's office and the police asked the feds to intervene because they weren't able to anymore by law because of the ruling of the medical examiner. They have a lot of power, and it's scary because if there's a situation where they're threatened or they're blackmailed or there's something corrupt, they have a lot of power, and that's something that we should all be concerned about as a side note. But Melanie Little continuing to drag these people. Same with the defense team. And that's all they're doing. They're trying to destroy these good police officers. And the people that live there that are helping with this, you know what you're doing? You're getting rid of police officers that are good men, clean records, trying to bring your county, district, state justice. You get rid of them, and you're going to be left with the piece of shit police officers like, whatever his name was. Farrell? What the hell was his name? Now I'm forgetting. But you're going to end up with bad police. You're going to end up with police that do really bad things. And I wish that y'all would see that, because it's only going to hurt your city, town, district, state, whatever. You're doing yourself a disservice. A severe disservice.
Murder of Officer John O'Keefe, that perhaps he's a little bit...
Melanie doesn't give a shit because she lives in New York, so she can, it's not going to affect her in her life, and New York has enough corruption the way it is, so she's fine with just defaming all of these people that are there trying to do their job, trying to bring justice.
Biased, compromised, and or incompetent. And so we should be entitled to those materials too, but no, they're not, apparently, unless they make another application and a better showing. So, obviously, those would also go to impeachment, any of those materials. Fanning was the lead investigator in the Sandra Birchmore investigation, and also apparently was in charge of the Karen Reed jury. So there's that. But no, you can't have that either.
Which, again, look it up. Totally normal, total protocol. That's what they do there.
Nope. Look the other way, everyone. Look the other way. Birchmore has nothing to do with Karen Reed, but, come back with some more information.
And the juror that was the foreman, when Turtle Boy Aiden asked him, I think he asked him about Fanning, and he was like, I don't even know who that is. So right there, it should put all of your ridiculousness to bed. But no, it doesn't. You just drone on and pretend like it didn't happen. You're experts at gaslighting. You're experts at selective amnesia. You're experts at literally just like something happens. I can't tell you how many times something crazy has happened in court, and I'll go back to watch these grifters to see how they react, because I'm like, oh my god, they should totally be like, holy shit, this is a farce, like that's what an honest attorney would do if they're commentating about it. But no, they just, Melanie just sits there and makes stupid faces and is like, literally pretends like it didn't happen. Just pretends like it didn't happen. Like the 227. That didn't happen. It has been proven in a court of law. It has been proven. They go on and on like that's still a viable argument. It's literally makes me feel like I'm in a psyop. It's so crazy. It's crazy.
If you so choose. Defense request number 5 is denied. Request number 5 is the request for all communications, documents, reports, memoranda, recordings of interviews, physical evidence, findings, and or other evidence relating to the internal affairs investigation of Trooper Michael Proctor, including transcripts of the administrative proceedings, and the judge can only...
And I can't say this with 100% certainty, but I think it's as close as I can get to certainty. I have an anonymous source, and I do believe that Michael Proctor will be back to work shortly. Thank God. And I hope he has the best civil litigator working for him, because his poor family and that poor man, again, look into him. If you're going to call him corrupt, look into him before you jump on that bullshit. That man is one of the cleanest men. And why are you doing it? You're getting rid, again, of a good police officer that wants to help your community. Like, you really do need to understand that. The man has been vetted and approved by the federal government. The worst thing they found were some distasteful text messages. Oh my God. First of all, he's a dude. Second of all, he's a cop, which you can't tell me cops don't talk like that. They're just not used to despicable attorneys like Alan Jackson getting to the U.S. attorney and being able to get their communications with no probable cause that I can figure out. So I'm still waiting, Josh Levy, for what the fuck your probable cause was. But more than that, I bet you Michael Proctor's waiting to find out what the probable cause was. Because you violated his civil rights. And he took it on the chin. He took it like a man. He humbled himself. He was honest on the stand. He has taken so much grief and vitriolic hatred. It's outrageous. His wife has taken all of this. She stood by her man like a wonderful wife. They have small children. I'm sure that they lost health insurance and obviously his income. I mean, the whole thing is a fucking mess. But I think and I hope that he'll be back on the job soon. And all of y'all need to shut the fuck up. I hope he sues your asses.
Says, denied. This requested discovery is outside the scope of Rule 14. Nope, can't have it. Can't have it. Nothing to see here, folks. Look the other way. Despite the fact that Elizabeth Little pointed out that if a prosecutor, there is a Supreme Judicial Court precedent that says if a prosecutor has possession or control of the records of an investigation by an internal affairs division of a police department with respect to a particular matter, the prosecutor must review that material in response to a Rule 14 motion for the production of exculpatory facts. That is a case called Commonwealth v. Wannis from 1998. And they have an obligation to turn it over, but the judge says, nope, outside the scope, you can't have it. We don't care if Michael Proctor did anything. You're not getting it. Not getting it. Defense requests 6 and 7 are...
He's been investigated. It's been determined that he's clean. So go fuck yourself with all that nonsense. Enough with the getting communications. Look into Alan Jackson. That's his MO. What did he do in the Spacey trial? Why do you think that victim walked away from that? Because Jackson was blackmailing him and shaming him, the victim. Jackson stands up in court when he's defending Weinstein, and after the victim she's on the stand, she just got done with the prosecution asking her questions. She went through her actual victimization from Weinstein. Alan Jackson gets up, takes his coat off, and looks at her and says, "Don't worry, I'm not going to go any further." If that doesn't make you vomit in your mouth, I don't know what will. This is the man that all of these people are putting on a pedestal. He literally said that to a victim in the court of law. He also said and repeated to Judge Cannoni that he did all the damage he needed to Jen McCabe. She said, what? He repeated it. He doesn't even realize how disgusting that is. Like, I literally think that he's blind to his own disgusting behavior. He has no clue. They're both tone deaf. Both him and Karen are tone deaf. Absolutely do not see how see-through their bullshit is.
Allowed by agreement. That was...
And shame on all the attorneys and shit that defend Alan Jackson and Yannetti because they have some kind of clout. They're scared to piss them off or go against them. It's really disgusting. These men have operated outside the law. There is no defense for that. Stop defending them. Their clout is done. But you shouldn't have done it in the first place. You cowards. Where's your integrity?
Communications between law enforcement and witnesses in this case, including but not limited to Yuri Buchanan and Chris Albert. We went over that at length in a couple of other streams. That has been allowed by agreement, as has number 7, which is all notes and correspondence regarding any testing conducted in this case, along with all research and materials relied upon by the Commonwealth's experts in completing their analysis regardless of whether the witnesses will be testifying at trial. And that is agreed to, so judge didn't have to rule on that. And this is defense request 8 and 9. 8 is a demand for all communications between members of the Norfolk County DA's office and or its law enforcement agents on the one hand, and all experts retained by the Commonwealth.
See, why do they need all these communications? This is what Jackson does. He gets communications, he sifts through them, trying to find something that either does or could look bad if twisted and out of context, and he blackmails people. This is what he does. So no, fuck you. You should not get any communications. And the fact that Josh Levy gave you the shit that he gave you is unforgivable. Unforgivable. And illegal. And criminal. So, pretty eager to see what comes out of that. I sure hope that this new state's attorney has integrity and does the right thing here. There's a lot of shit that needs to be cleaned up from your predecessor. And he needs to, quite frankly, be arrested and go to prison for his actions. He's not above the law. He shouldn't act with impunity. He was an arrogant asshole and literally wouldn't even respond to Judge Beverly Canone until she said, fine, if they're not going to respond to me, then I'm going to release this because I'm not under the protective order. And then he heard from her, and then he threatened to take it out of her courtroom to the federal courtroom if she did that. That's how big of a piece of shit he is. And that's how arrogant he is. He doesn't respond to the DA. He doesn't respond to the judge. He has no respect.
In connection with this case, including dates and substance of phone calls, copies of any written correspondence, dates of any strategy meetings, and list of materials received. And I think this may be the demand that Ms. Little, in the relation, said. It's funny that Mr. Brennan is objecting to this demand because it is the copied word for word from the demand he served upon us. So that's interesting. I think. Is that the right? I think that's what it is. And so that is denied, in part, as overbroad. And she says, and number 9 was all written communications, including emails and text messages between any member of Norfolk County DA's office and or law enforcement agents and any expert witnesses the Commonwealth intends to call at trial, and so that they can prepare for cross-examination of the experts. And the judge says, denied in part is overbroad. The Commonwealth must provide discovery consistent with their obligations under new Rule 14A, 14B, and 14.2. Rule 14.2F, definition of work product, does not include any items or information that the prosecutor is obligated to disclose as items or information favorable to the defense. The court is satisfied that the written response of the Commonwealth indicates the Commonwealth's understanding of its discovery obligations as outlined in the rule and the reporter's notes to the rule and of its continuing duty. So, trust me, bro, is good enough. Good enough.
Again, trust me, bro, nobody said that. Again, look into these people's history. Look into Judge Canone's history. She is a dream for a defense team. She is so pro-defense. She let the defense get away with so much shit. And I am sure that when she figures this stuff out and Hank shows her what the fuck they were doing, she's going to be embarrassed. She's going to feel ashamed that she let them. She gave them all that rope. But quite frankly, I think it's a blessing in disguise for the O'Keefe family that she did, because she gave them enough rope and they have metaphorically hung themselves. Very much so. So, I'm here for it. Bring your popcorn Tuesday.
But again, you can't use it as a shield and a sword. You can't say it's good enough for them, but the defense is going to be required to turn over a whole bunch of other things and stuff. So there's that. And then there's defense request number 10, which is allowed by agreement. And defense request number 10 is a legible copy of a series of text messages that the Commonwealth provided to the defense. We don't know who they're between, but they're illegible. And so apparently that was agreed to. And then therefore the court decided that that's good enough. But XOXO, dated today, February 24th, 2025. XOXO, Beverly J. Canone, Justice of the Supreme Court. Nope, no metadata for you. No metadata for you. Sorry. It's good enough. Look the other way. But again, as I said many, many times, I'm going to repeat it a little bit louder for those in the back. This could lead to an evidentiary hearing in which many, many people will be called in as witnesses to testify about how they came into possession of that Kate and Sallyport video, where it's been, why it wasn't turned over originally, and things as such. What is that? Well, after all...
Yeah, and it's all in the up and up, so don't believe any of this nonsense that it's, some big conspiracy. It was a detective. From what I do know, from what Hank said in court, or at that last hearing, he said it was a detective. When the detective was active, on-duty detective, he's retired now, but it's downloaded onto his detective hard drive. I don't know what it's downloaded on, if it's at the office or whatever, if it's in the cloud, I think is what it is, but it's an account that is, I don't know if it was a personal detective account or if it's for the for that county or whatever. But anyway, it's on the up and up, and we'll hear more about it. But if you want further detail, listen to what Hank says in the last hearing last Tuesday. It is video that was on this retired detective's, I think, cloud, and the defense, nothing is ever good enough for them. They want this. Hank says, fine, I'll do this. He goes the extra mile, and then they try to fuck him over, and he's sick of it. He's like, look, this is turned into, they're crying injustice constantly. I am giving them everything they're entitled to and more. I have gone out of my way every step of the way, and I'm done. We just want to give them the discovery. I'm done trying to extend my courtesies because they take advantage of it over and over again. I have given them multiple opportunities to not mistake my kindness for weakness, and now I'm done, and the gloves are off, and I'm coming for you bitches. And I'm here for it, and the O'Keefes are here for it, and so many other people are here for it. We've been waiting for justice.
That's what will happen tomorrow. Tomorrow really wasn't going to have anything to do with this anyway. Tomorrow has to do with the grave concerns that Judge Cannoni had last week that caused her to suspend the hearing and call everybody back for tomorrow regarding the alleged improprieties of defense counsel in failing to turn over.
They're not alleged. They will be proven. It concerns me greatly. I think I already said this, but God, they deserve the highest consequences. And it concerns me the position that they've put Judge Bev in. I mean, this is an awful situation for her to be put in because she wants to A, get this done, and B, to get justice for the O'Keefes, and C, I'm sure she's absolutely had it with the whole frickin' thing. I mean, it's exhausting, I would imagine. It's going to get proved out, so it's not alleged. There was actual criminal action. They committed fraud on the court. They colluded and conspired to commit fraud on the court. They were arrogant and pompous, per usual, in committing said fraud on the court. And those of us with any kind of, acumen for human behavior saw that immediately. It was not difficult to see the bias, especially in Wolf, just in his attitude. But then when you actually hear what he says and he's saying nothing, it's like, okay, yeah, do you have the credentials? Yeah. Are you credible? Absolutely not in this case. You're clearly biased. The question is why? I mean, many of us knew why. And there were a lot of people, good people in that community, working hard to prove our suspicions. And seems to me that they're there, that they've proven it. And this is the beginning of the end. Ha! Poetic justice at last.
Or communications with ARCA experts, but actually it was the defense who turned over those communications, not the feds. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
And again, not a big deal. He made a mistake. Doesn't matter who sent it. I mean, the only reason it matters who sent it is I'm wondering, it seems like Jackson obviously would know that Hank would do this. That he was going to be exposed. He did turn them over. So the question is why? Was it an excuse for Karen Reed to buy more time so that she can flee to Afghanistan or something? Is she trying to buy more time, and so he came out and admitted it, knowing Judge Bev Cannoni is probably, she's constantly giving him the benefit of the doubt, so why not again? And he's going to take one for the team, and I don't know. Or did he think Brennan wasn't going to call him out on it? Did he think that he was smarter than Brennan? Did he think that Brennan was a fool and wasn't going to recognize what he was looking at? Like, I don't know the answer to these questions, but I think that we all will soon enough. And I think and again, not an attorney, but I think the reason that, besides the obvious fact that Judge Cannoni was horrified at the absolute fraud that she was being told was committed on the court, but I think it was the right thing to do to allow Jackson to get legal counsel, to consult with his counsel, because what he did, it's criminal. So I kind of feel like it falls in the realm of, the pleading the fifth kind of situation where he can't be questioned without having his attorney present. And if she started asking him questions that he answered truthfully, it would criminally implicate him. So that's just my layman determination as to why she didn't make him answer for it right then and there. I don't know if she has to, because the prosecutor in the Baldwin case got up and started testifying, and she had lots of legal ramifications as well as personal ramifications for her illegal behavior. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know that it's absolutely mandatory, but again, I think Judge Cannoni is beyond fair to the point where I think it's very detrimental now. It has gotten, it's long been detrimental to John O'Keefe's justice, to what the Commonwealth is trying to do, and I think she needs to draw a very hard line in the sand at this point. It's enough, and she needs to put the hammer down and mean it, and not let them get away with any more of this shit. She needs to do that, in my very humble personal opinion, because if she doesn't, then at this point she's a party to it. And I'm not saying that I have a lot of respect for Judge Cannoni, but if she doesn't start doing what's right for justice and not just for, I have to protect this murderer's rights, that's just, it's enough from everybody. It's enough. This thing needs to go down the way that Hank is going to make it go down, with integrity and honesty and justice for everyone.
Oh, back to the chat for a moment. The whole world calls me Hank. Thanks for your 50. Says, how long would this ducking be allowed to continue? How long will it be allowed to continue? I am furious. They have destroyed evidence. The defense must appeal this crap. They're all corrupt. Well, the whole world calls me Hank. We are still waiting. We do not have a copy of the motion to dismiss. Whether it will appear on the docket or not, we don't know. We don't know, because the Commonwealth wants everything.
Why is Little the one that's filing? Is that an acknowledgement that the other lawyers are fucked? She's the only one that's not fucked? Probably there's no direct evidence that she knew. I have no idea if she knew. I don't know how she couldn't have known, but if Yannetti and Jackson are at all gentlemen and have any integrity, they would at the very least protect her from going down with the ship. So I would imagine that there's no actual proof that she was involved in this. Not saying that she wasn't, but I hope I mean, honestly, I hope they protected her. She's young. This has the ability to course correct her at this point, hopefully. So she learns that she could go to prison for the shit that they did. She doesn't want to go to prison, so maybe don't do that shit. Hopefully.
This point forward to be impounded so that they and the judge can look at the things together and decide whether or not things should be impounded. That has not been ruled on yet, and so therefore, I don't think she can impound it. We read this morning the defense motion to impound certain portions of the motion to dismiss for extraordinary governmental misconduct, and learned that the defense was kind enough to provide a redacted copy of the motion and an unredacted copy. And so therefore, since we know it was filed last Friday, we just do not know if it's been scanned into the system yet, and so we don't have a copy of it.
Which is an extreme joke, extreme misconduct. Yeah, are you talking about yourselves again? Is this the Darvo? Is this where backwards world? We're, reverse victim and offender, just like we always do? Yeah, that's what's happening here. Gross prosecutorial misconduct. No, gross defense attorney criminal misconduct is actually what's happening.
But as soon as we get a copy of it, we're going to see what else is in there and what other reasons they have, and whether any of this is going to be brought up in that motion to dismiss for extraordinary governmental misconduct. And I believe it probably will have something to do with this inverted video, the disappearing video, the metadata, the destruction of evidence, the spoliation of evidence. And perhaps they found out some stuff when they got hold of some of the emails of the district attorney. We don't know. And we may never know. We may not know by tomorrow. They're not going to hear that motion tomorrow anyway. It's not going to be argued tomorrow. But again, the whole world calls me Hank. Thanks for coming in with your super chat and for being a very generous contributor to this channel. Improv man, she denied argument. Is there an issue on ruling? I don't know. Well, they did argue this motion in open court, the one that we just went on the ruling for, or the one that we just went on, the one that I just read to you. It was argued in court, so I don't know. I know what you're talking about. Ipsy Dixit. The feds gave 347 pages of discovery and the case went on. Yep, they had it all. Retired detective file. You talking about me? That's you. I love it. I love how you change your username. Retired detective file. That's amazing. Everyone, while you're here, I need you to smash the like button because there's over 6,200 people here. Oh, no, we can't have that. We can't allow it. I'm not going to allow it. There's only 1,400 likes. We got to do better. We got to do better, or, I just I may just end the stream and wait until we get a copy of the motion. We can do better. We may have to.
Wow. Making demands of your audience, or you're going to not do your job? Interesting. It's pretty fucking gross. It just shows you where she's at, why she's doing this. It's disgusting.
Close out the chat if you're on your phone to hit the like button, but you're going to do it. But retired detective file is here, has changed his or her username, and it's amazing. Jerry Roth, this is my guess. All Commonwealth approved, all defense denied. Well, you were kind of right on the money, right? What was granted? Nothing was granted here unless it was on agreement. All right? Motion to compel video surveillance, evidence logs and chain of custody, no, denied. You get what you get, and you don't get upset like they tell you in preschool. And, there's no affidavit of an expert or any evidence before the court that the procedure agreed to by the skilled counsel for both parties would result in the destruction of metadata. Now she wants affidavits. Pay your expert to write an affidavit, because I don't even know what to say. They went from iCloud to hard drive, detective file. The guy who's the retired detective just happened to be there when Hank Brennan went there to check it out. And Hank Brennan said he's never even reviewed the video. He doesn't even know what's in that detective file. He hasn't reviewed it, hasn't looked at it, doesn't know what it is, hasn't been inventoried. Listen, unless you're in Indiana, in Delphi, I don't even know where else this could even happen. I just don't. Paisley Chicken, no charges because someone flipped to testify on another case. I don't know. Are you saying talking about the FBI? Or some agreement that there would be state charges in lieu of federal? Oh, Paisley Chicken is
more conspiracy bullshit. Please don't listen to this woman. She is so far gone.
Is trying to flip it into a positive. I like it. Well done. Melissa, hi Melissa. How can Bev legally deny the defense discovery / evidence? This is making me sick and infuriated. Yep. You're not the only one. Thanks for your super chat. Proctored and doctored is outraged. Thanks for your super chat. Colleen Trish says, Melanie, if in fact a federal investigation is complete, would that mean the federal protective order could or would be lifted? I don't know. Show me the TUI. I don't know if it's complete, if that releases the materials. And I can't opine on something that I'm not exactly sure of the answer to. It's a great question. I just don't want to give you the wrong information.
Oh, you do it all day, every day. But you lie, actually, is what you do. You tell knowing lies. So what you haven't been told by your, fucking boss, I don't know, Jackson or Karen or Turtle Boy or whoever the fuck is your boss, you haven't gotten the the company line yet, so you don't know what to say yet. You have to ask what you're supposed to say about that question. So she will, and then she'll get back to you, and the answer will come straight from the defense.
Thanks for your super chat, though. Desert Quill, thanks for the 10. This should scare every fair-minded person. Since Beverly Judge Cannoni allowed the inverted, undocumented, apparitional video, I had to assume it could only happen if Beverly Cannoni was part of this sham. After this, I know. Get 10 point.
Again, Judge Beverly Cannoni.
Not that my members' opinions are not necessarily my opinions. Thank you for the super chat, Desert Quill. And I think a lot of people feel the same way.
But you already said it, Melanie, so you can't just, oh, not my opinion, you can't sue me. No, you said it, and I pointed it out, so fuck you.
Somebody says Karen will never be convicted. See, she knows how to look for the positive, the silver lining. And John O'Keefe was not by a car, and a car did not hit John O'Keefe. And anybody who has any common sense, logic, and or basic...
Yeah, this is pretty sad. I mean, she literally has the people that are in her chat that don't know that she's lying. She has not intelligent followers, and she has sheep for followers, and she counts on that. Because she's constantly telling you that you're smart and you have common sense if you believe what the defense is pushing out. But if you take the time to critically think and figure out, like, well, that doesn't make sense and that doesn't make sense, then you're stupid. And then you'll be blocked and shamed and forever ridiculed and put down by this bitch. Please don't worry about this bitch. She is lying. She is laughing all the way to the bank. She wants your money. She wants your super chats. She wants her paid advertisements. She wants to make her money on YouTube. And she's doing it by degrading a really good man and his family and trying to free his murderer. So there's that. That's how she operates.
Basic skills of common sense. We'll be maybe able to see that. After that jury interview, I'm not so sure. Piney Woods, Law and Crime, thanks for the 20. This is probably directly related to Mr. Levy's departure and the purges made by the new administration, if it is true at all.
Oh, yeah, it is directly related to that. Or at least the fact that he's not there to feed a murderer information about the witnesses against her. Yeah. It has to do with that, for sure. So, again, certainly hope there's an arrest made about that or actually several, because that's a person with a lot of power who acted with a lot of impunity and committed lots of criminal acts with the murder defendant herself and her attorneys and people like Melanie Little.
Talking about the FBI concluding its investigation, according to Boston 25 News. This case is wildly FUBAR verklempt. So we're off a climb. We're off a climb. Thank you for the 20. Straining of credulity. I like that username too. I have merch. Thanks for the 5. They're all going to be throwing their gloves off tomorrow. This is going to be, if you thought tomorrow was going to be fiery, it's going to be like the biggest bonfire you ever saw tomorrow. It's going to be crazy.
Oh, I concur. But I think that they're all going to laugh at you. You're all going to be horrified. You're going to be, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. How can they do this? It's corruption. It's corruption. They can't do this. And we're all going to be like, oh, finally, slow justice. Moving at the rate of an elderly turtle is finally coming to fruition. And you're going to be shocked and horrified and making all kinds of stupid faces.
Crazy. I agree. Thanks for your super chat. Lisa Thornton, thanks for the 5. So if the feds are done, does that mean their evidence can be unsealed? Yeah, again, thank you again for a great question. Don't especially know the answer. And I don't know that that's exactly true, because think about like federal investigation into like the assassination of JFK. Like that information was never unsealed. It was just unsealed recently, right? So I don't know.
JFK, Karen Reed's trial, it's a weird comparison.
The federal rules well enough to know the answer to that question. My gut tells me not necessarily. But I'll have to look into it. It's the best I can do. Kathleen, thank you for the 5. Can the judge deny a request for an evidence hearing? She's the gatekeeper. She can kind of do whatever she wants. So yes, she can. Are there good grounds for an evidentiary hearing? I think so. Again, we're in the upside down matrix world of Narnia. So who knows? Sarah Boone's left kidney is here.
Yeah, you are in the upside down world, because you're literally reporting everything backwards on purpose to try to subvert justice. which is shameful because you apparently were an attorney and you operate under the name of attorney Melanie Little. So you are teaching people, you are a mentor to people who look up to you and trust you, and you are teaching them things that are absolute lies. So then they go out into the world and they think that they are smart because they listen to attorney Melanie Little on her YouTube show, and they say something which is totally asinine, and eventually they're going to figure out that everything that attorney Melanie Little taught them was a total lie. And she's going to be living her best life on the beach somewhere with all the money you sent her, and she's not going to give two shits.
From Australia, and says, I get knocked down, but I get up again. Thank you very much for thinking in song lyrics. I'm via super chat. Nina's here. If no metadata is needed, how does the court know if a video or picture is generated by AI? That's a great question. It's a great question, Nina. I feel you. Irish Wolfhound Mama says, if the feds are supposedly done and there would be no charges, there is no hope for humanity. Never mind from Massachusetts. Like, what the duck? Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in with your super chat. Let us see. For those of you who are...
And just for the record, she is one of those creators that's a disgusting person who literally only addresses people ever that give her super chats unless she knows them, and it's like the Glare or Scott McGinnis or somebody that she knows, and they are colluding together, and they may even be mods in her chat. But you have to give her a super chat if you're just a person that pays her to watch her show, where she lies to you constantly. She will not acknowledge you unless it's in the form of a super chat. And she gets really pissy with her supporters a lot and says pretty rude things to them a lot, and is sassy in a very it just makes me cringe. It's not as bad as Turtle Boy obviously goes off on his people, but it's similar. It has the same feel. Just a Mean Girls kind of twist to it, where she's just fucking rude and she's like, it's just unbelievable that people actually support her. And she talks to them like that. Can't believe that. Like, she's better than everybody. And how dare you say something that she doesn't agree with, and so she's gonna talk to you like you're a fool.
Emailing me the decision.
But she'll still take your money.
We've already gone over it. Thank you so very much. For those of you who are emailing me because you're beside yourself, because you're not showing up in the chat, I don't know what that is about. I cannot read emails that are 14 pages long, and I don't understand, and I don't know, and I can't stop my stream to find you on a block list somewhere.
She literally doesn't care about any of you. Not one. She laughs when she hangs up her fucking YouTube for the day. She's lying to all of you. The only people she communicates with are people that are paid shills for Karen's team. And the rest of you, she does not give a shit about at all. She's constantly making excuses like, I don't have time for that. I won't read that. I don't know. I've shut my comments off to only the people that have been members for 2 days, so deal with it. This is the kind of shit she does because she's a coward.
That may have been done by accident and let you in. I'm really sorry, but that's not how live streaming works. Amber says, what a sham, debating what my protest sign will say. Yeah, good, Amber. Good. Anybody have any ideas for protest signs? Put them in the chat. Put them in the chat. People are rage crocheting. Everybody's crazy. There's been no, YouTube has been glitchy. Thank you, Thomas. YouTube has been glitchy. If you cannot super chat, your credit card may have expired. You may have to unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I have my settings set to a certain length for subscribers. If that happens to you, I'm really sorry, but it's just the way it is. It's better allowed. It hasn't been ruled on. It's under advisement. They want more information from Mr. Yannutti. And also, she said she was going to consider all those things. Then Brennan got up and said on the record that he didn't put in any papers about, well, I have no opposition, but I would like to tell you my thoughts. And here are my thoughts. And we talked about that at length this morning. So if you haven't watched the stream from this morning,
which are in very important thoughts and such important context to this case, which is why all of these people are getting away with this shit, because people aren't including the context of what the ramifications of the collusion of Karen Reed and her defense attorneys and a despicable blogger and then a bunch of YouTubers who hopped on board to help this fraud. That's the context you need. And it needs to be, again, brought out into the sunlight and exposed so that the harassment of innocent people can stop. And unless it's brought out into the sunlight, it's never going to. Turtle Boy has no reason to be in that courtroom ever. He is literally a danger to any juror, to all of the witnesses, to Karen Reed herself, probably. I mean, who's going to throw who under the bus first? I don't know. I don't know if either of them will, because I think they have plenty to get convictions on both of them, so they don't need their testimony. So I have no idea. But Turtle Boy needs to be banned. So if you hear this and you agree with that, there is a place to send emails, I think, to try to get him banned. I think there's a petition, or there's somebody told me that we can write somebody to let people know, like, we need this to stop. So I will try and find that, and then I'll post it on my community tab if and when I do find that, because I really think that that is absolutely necessary. He has no business being in the court. He has no business knowing who those jurors are. He has no business sitting in there pulling the shenanigans that he pulls on his laptop, knowing that it's on TV, knowing that they're recording. I mean, he's such a fucking piece of shit. Seriously.
I want to go do that, because we also went over the original order and the original judge's decision on whether or not she should recuse herself. That was decided in the summer of 2023, and it's really interesting for those of you who weren't following this case all the way back during its pretrial days.
Yeah, and again, people that scream, well, she should, just for the sake of, the appearance of impropriety. This Nan person, Nan Gallagher, such a fucking dumbass, hopping on the bandwagon now, just, like, giving these creators thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, she's donating like $500 a shot to these people. I don't know why. Like, you could be helping so many families that, like, might need, a place to live, or groceries, or, there's a lot of people that need help, but you're choosing to give all of this money to YouTube creators who are trying to help a murderer not pay for her crime. It's astonishing to me.
You may want to check it out, because that decision was made.
Oh, so, and my point was that I heard her say that recently. She should recuse herself. She should have done it long ago, just because of the appearance of impropriety. See, and this is what social media, they're like, why doesn't Jen McCabe and Matt McCabe and Brian Higgins, why don't all these people come out and claim their innocence and do an interview and all this shit? And it's like, these are adults doing this on YouTube, and I'm like, they don't know social media anything. They don't know you anything. They don't know anybody anything. They're not on trial for murder. They are witnesses in a murder trial for, in many cases, their friend. So, no, they're not going to go on social media and do an interview with somebody who, guess what? They gave testimony. So you know their side of the story, and you've already said that they're lying after they gave testimony. So what's going to change if they go on your show and do an interview? You're just going to call them a liar again. What's the point? First of all, and second of all, you're just emotional immaturity to expect that from witnesses in a murder trial. Like, it's astonishing to me. And so, again, on that same kind of idea, the judges are not going to just recuse themselves all of the time because social media thinks that they should. She has no reason to recuse herself. There was no viable reason. And even the appearance of impropriety is something that if people actually looked into it, they would know that there is no appearance of impropriety, and therefore she's not worried about it. So she doesn't need to recuse herself. And you idiots on fucking social media who think that you're going to control what judges do and what witnesses do, and you demand that they do interviews, and you demand that can you imagine how many... The justice system already moves at the fucking rate of a turtle. But now you think that anytime a murder defendant doesn't like their judge, which again, I think they'd be pretty pissed off if they actually got a different judge. I really don't think that they actually want that. I think they're doing that to, cause a stir in the FKR, because if they had a judge that was not pro-defense like Cannoni is, they would have been fucked a long time ago. So, no, there is no appearance of impropriety. And no, murder defendants don't just get to say, I don't think that you're, I think that you should recuse yourself because I said that there's an appearance of impropriety. That's not how that works. Again, can you imagine if the justice system started pandering to social media? In what world are you fucking idiots living? Seriously. No. Please, God, no. If there's any justice in the world, please, no. That should never happen.
By Judge Cannoni about whether or not she should recuse herself is very interesting reading, and we went over that length. Talk amongst yourselves for 1 second, if you don't mind. The world is watching. That's what the sign should say. Great idea, KPT. Great idea.
Oh, yeah,
the world
we're
is watching.
We're watching.
Federal habeas petition, not that I don't know that it got denied. I don't know anything about that. All I know is what the judge decided based on those things that we just went over just now, and that Boston 25, Ted Daniel is reporting that the federal investigation has been over based on unnamed sources that will not reveal themselves. So there's that. Go back and watch it.
That's how it works, Melanie.
Okay, Karen Reed's lawyers asked for a motion to dismiss impounded according to masslive.com. Thank you, Lisa, for sending me that information, but that's not accurate. MassLive is misreporting that because Karen Reed's, we went over this motion this morning. Karen Reed's lawyers made a motion that part of it should be impounded. Part of it that was subject to federal non-disclosure agreements and orders, federal protective orders, and they submitted a redacted copy to the court and an unredacted copy to the court. So if MassLive is reporting that, it's only parts of the motion to dismiss. Thank you for your email, but that is not exactly accurate there. And so there's that. If the redacted copy is posted to the docket, we'll come back and do that later. So there is that to look forward to. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you hit all notifications. And so there's that. All right. So right now I need to go drive the mommy Uber for a little while. But there's about 45 minutes here for you to go back, and you can, dang, Mel, you should care more if one of your peeps got accidentally blocked. Of course I care, but I can't stop what I'm doing right this second to go through the list that people are frantically emailing me.
No, she doesn't care. Good call, Misty. You should probably, heed the warning. She does this all the time, so pay attention.
It's not that I don't care, Misty. I do care. I just cannot stop what I'm doing because somebody frantically emails me to go check. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I just can't. Not that I don't care. Just can't.
No, she's not sorry. She told you she's not sorry. She's just like Karen. She tells you the truth if you listen. She doesn't give a shit. She wants your money. She wants your viewership. But she doesn't give a shit about if it's a good experience for you.
Stop what I'm doing. But let's
But there's a good example of her little attitude that she gets. That's not nearly as bad as she usually gets. But she's like, yeah.
Why do I? Oh, because it's on pause. I'm like, why do I look frozen on my phone? Make sure you have subscriptions set to all or notifications set to all so you can get them. And when I end this stream, it's going to redirect you to the morning stream, which is going to be a little before 11 o'clock for the hearing so that you can hit the
Okay, I'm going to end this. I was just waiting to see if she had any more ridiculous things to say at the end. Hopefully I don't miss anything important. But I'm going to upload this now. I have so much to say about everything that's going on. Tomorrow is going to be fire. I don't know if I'll do I may do a live stream like tonight or tomorrow after the hearing. I don't know. I'm going to probably watch the hearing with Kevin and or Roberta. Check out both their channels. Yeah, I've had a lot of life things going on, so that's why I haven't been on much. But trust me, I have a lot to say, so we'll see. I've been wanting to get on here and vent for a while. Have my little vent session with y'all again. So thank you for listening, and I'm gonna go see if I can find that information about writing to get Turtle Boy out of that courtroom, and There's a couple other things I want to post. So just keep an eye out. I know I haven't been consistent, but keep an eye out. And thank you all for listening. And as always, spread love and light. Smile at strangers. Smile at those you love. Give lots of hugs. Just put a lot of love out. Remember that we don't know what's going on in anybody's life. So if somebody gets rude at you, just, try to give them grace. And in my experience, on both ends of that, the receiving and the giving, if that happens, it changes the whole dynamic, and it really is a positive experience. So just really try to give grace, try to spread lots of love and light, and little things make all the difference, and they travel millions and millions and millions of times around the world. A simple smile can change someone's whole day. So I love you all, and hopefully I'll be back soon. Mwah! And Miss Dark Humor, if you happen to hear this, I am thinking about you, and I want to invite you to chit chat with me on my channel. Murder by Maestro just gave me some information about possibly how to do that, so I will try to email you, and we'll try to get something set up if you want to and are available to do that. Okay? I love you, girl. I'm sending you love and light. Everybody send some love and light to Miss Dark Humor. And little Rennie is giving me kisses. So she's giving you kisses. Yes. Oh, thank you. I love you too. Yes. Lots of love, everybody. Mwah.